Hello everyone, bear with me a moment. I'm just getting set up. I didn't realize what time it was. I thought I had a few more minutes. I am just getting my camera placed here, trying to get cords out of the way so you guys don't see them as much. Okay, and my tripod's kind of doing something wonky, so I know it's hard to see these things when we mess around with our equipment, but my leg is a problem here. I bonked it on the way over. Now it's okay, that's a little better. Alright. Let's make sure I'm live in the right group and not just live on myself. Alright. Yes, you guys can see me. Okay, can you hear me?
It's just getting set.
Yep. Okay.
Yes, you guys can see me. Okay, can you hear me?
Hello, Kim. Just trying to situate all my stuff a little bit better this morning. And try not to spill, all the water that I have on the table. Anyway, welcome to the Crafty Chaos, as I'm calling it right now. Again, sorry everyone that I had to, said I was going to do pre, and then I said I was going to come on. So, if no one's able to watch me, that's fine. I get that I last minute changed the time and all that. So, anyway, I am going to be, it's Throwback Thursday, and I'm going to use the cutest set from Emily Goulet called Kitty Kapers. So, just put that in frame here. Just waiting for my computer to catch up with me here. Okay. Edge seems weird. Okay. Anyway, I'm doing kind of a Will It Work Wednesday again. I know my computer's on. There we go. Maybe that'll work. And I'm going to try and make some backgrounds with watercolors. I'm going to be using this cute little kitty here for one card. And I'm not going to be able to do 2 cards today, but I am going to probably use this one on a future card as well. So I figured I might as well do backgrounds for both of them. If I ever have time to record myself coloring that one, I will. But I haven't used this stamp yet in the series. So I thought I would use this one. I have a cute little frame. Thought would go well with the kitty. And I always need to make cat and dog cards for work. So I thought, let's just try this. So I'm going to put the stamp set away. I am going to do my backgrounds first. And I do have 2. Just so that you guys know, I did pixie spray my stencil. And this is just actually a dollar store frame. And I just thought, you know what, it works well to hold things down. So my stencil is pixie sprayed. The tape is, oh yeah, sorry. I thought I could change it, but it didn't work. But that's okay, Kim. That's all right. If somebody pops in at 10 and they're like, oh, I didn't see that you changed the time, I'll just review what I'm doing. Anyway, I pixie sprayed my stencil. I taped it down just to make things as flat as I possibly can be, because I'm going to use my stencil and watercolors today, just for something a little bit different. And what I thought I would pull in is I want a bit of texture for my background. So I have just one of these sponges. You can get these from usually like a paint store, craft store type thing. And I cut it into smaller pieces because that's obviously as huge as my hand and it don't mean that much. So I just cut it into small pieces. I'm going to see if I can get some texture with this. And we're going to make kind of like a watercolory splash background. So I am going to pull in some watercolors, and I'm just going to add quite a bit of water to this. I'm probably going to spray down my panel here too. Just again, I'm wanting that watercolor look of like really wet textured look. I have watercolors from Daniel Smith, so it's not on camera. I'm trying to think of how I can pull it on camera. Maybe if I do this. Need to watch Will you guys be able to see? Nope. You guys be able to see if it goes like this. Sort of. Sort of. Not really. Okay. Well, I'm going to just tell you what colors I'm using. So I'm loading a really fat, cheap watercolor brush with water onto my plate here. It's making a really big puddle. And then I'm going to grab a whole bunch of water and I am going to go into sap green for my first panel here. And I'm just making sure this is nice and watery. I need a lot of water and I want the pigment to show up too. So I'm probably even need more water than that. So just making a big puddle of sap green. I was going to see if I was going to do re-inkers this today, but I don't have as much time to play around as I usually do. I think that puddle's big enough, and I'm just going to add, again, more water. Nice icky green water in the corner. All right, let's see what we get. So I am just going to spray my water with just clear water, or my panel is just clear water. And I'm hoping that the pixie spray keeps the stencil down good enough that we get our details still. I'm actually even going to dip my sponge in a bit of water too. Dab it off a little bit. And I'm just going in with my sponge. Sorry, left-handed. Probably should have that on the other side. Into my little puddle. And I'm going to just start adding it onto my panel. Just splashing it in. Maybe a little too much water. That's okay. Always dry it and then add more. I am using pretty cheap watercolor paper, so I might have to just dry my panel for a second here. And I'm just using a low heat gun, and you don't want to use like a high heat gun or your stencil might warp. Just try and dry it a little bit because you're not seeing the texture. And it doesn't look like much yet. Alright, going back in with my sponge, gonna grab more of that dark color, going for a second layer now. And this time I'm just adding dark, not all over. I'm probably going to add a second color into this too, so it's not just green. So how is everyone? Well, I think it's just Kim. And now, oh, Kim's here or not. Oh, no, there's 6 people. How are everybody today? Thanks for joining me if you're watching. We're just going to make some quick little kitty cards. I'm going to let this one dry for a few moments, just naturally, and I'm going to pull in my other panel that is the one I'm going to actually be working on today. So I thought I'd do, I know I use the stencil a lot, but I love it so much. I thought I would do hearts, the Lots of Love stencil. And I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to choose a different color. Just trying to think, what do I want to use? Something that screams non-granulating, non-granulating. Maybe we'll do quinacridone rose. Same thing, just getting a big puddle here. And then on this one, I might try something a little different than what I did on the other one. I might go dry in to wet, or wet into dry. Still see what I'm doing there. All right, and then I'm just grabbing a sponge. And I'm just going to add this. Sponge, because it's so dry, does tend to hold a lot of the pigment. Oh, there, I'm getting a little bit more texture there, so I think that's the clue, is I had too much water. and greens today. I think this is what I was wanting, was more of this texture. Okay. I even just leave it as that and make it look almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Looking kind of like it was spray painted on. And then I am going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to add a second color and just some rose, maybe this Bordeaux color, and I'm just going to add a little bit of splatter. So a little bit of pink and a little bit of purple. So look cooler once the stencil's off, and hopefully when it dries that they just get a lot of the white from the stencil on this one. It actually looks like something. You won't know until you let it dry and peel back that stencil. So lots of love, and then back to my Leafy one, oh my gosh, I can't talk. Leafy stencil. I'm just going to, again, heat set that a little bit, and then I'm going to go back in with a little bit darker texture. I don't know if you're still there, Kim, or not. If you're busy doing other things, I understand. But what are you doing this weekend? Oh, okay, good. What are you doing this weekend? Anything fun? I am off to Calgary for the weekend. I'm going on a bit of a solo vacation. Although I am going to meet up with our old design team member, Rosie, I believe. We're going to try and meet up. And go on a little adventure in Calgary because she lives there. I'm not quite sure what we'll do yet. Maybe just go for coffee or go art shopping or craft shopping. She's just on a little vacation herself, so I'm going to message her when we get back, or when she gets back. There we go. That's what I want. So just added more pigment, and I'm just adding this through just to give us some texture for our background. Woohoo! 50% off! And I'm sure you only have a few left in stock, so everyone who doesn't have this stamp set, you do want it. If you love kitties or if you have kitty lovers in your family. It's a nice big bold set, so you can get a lot of color in there. There we go. That's what I wanted. Ooh, good. Have fun. I won't be bringing my crafty stuff with me to Calgary just because I have only so much room I can pack for the bus ride down, but I'm hoping to go at least buy some crafty stuff. We'll see. All right, so I'm just going to heat set this one. Oh, a little bit off screen again. Just move my... Just quickly, just get the splatter that I splattered to dry a little bit. And the pixie spray is coming up, so I mean that's okay because I want to take the stencil off anyway. I mean, you are melting the pixie spray pretty much when you do that, so. You guys just working on like projects with the new kit? Are you working on journaling? All right, let's see. There we go. We have a watercolor panel. That was fast and easy, quick. I'll probably add something else to it, but I'm happy with that. So there's one. And you can see the definite, like you can see the hearts in there, so that's why the pick spray is nice to use with your stenciling. And you do see the texture that I put down. And this one, maybe I'll just heat set this a little bit, although I'm not as worried about it because there's less water on it. Just a little bit. Cool. Okay, so this one, because I had added so much water, and I'm okay with it, it did get a little bit wet through the panel, but I'm okay because I can still see that they're leaves. I can still see the texture. I kind of like it, to be honest with you, because it is giving that watercolor look. So, happy with both of those. Got a nice green panel, nice pink panel, ready to go for future projects. And I'm going to be, like I said, using this pink one. Oh, Michelle, I didn't see you were here. Okay, I'm just going to read the comments quickly here. Okay, so Kim's getting ready for the Mermaid Treasure event. Yeah, excited for that. As soon as I get back from my little vacation, well, maybe I'll bring some of it with me. As soon as I get back from my little vacation, I will be working on my classes for that. And I already have ideas on what I want to do, so that's great. I love when that happens, when I can just kind of have an idea and get working on it. And then what is Michelle doing? We're finally getting some sun here. We'll be heading back to rain this weekend. Yeah. I'm a bit worried I'm going to get rained on when I'm in Calgary, but that's okay. I got an umbrella. I'm going to see if I can go find a rain jacket tomorrow after work before I go. Just having a hard time finding like a cheap jacket. It's weird. But just something just to cover myself up when I'm out and about, because I want to be outside most of the time. But yeah, Michelle is going to be, weekend plan is get some work done outside today and then crafty time with mom when it rains. It's a good idea. Ooh, I forgot it's Father's Day coming up here too. So maybe you have a cat lover as a father and you can use the Leafy one, just as an idea. But some Father's Day stamps and boy birthday stamps to color and get ready to turn into cards when I craft with mom. Great job, Michelle. Good thing to prep ahead of time. All right, so what I thought I would do for this card is I am going to have a frame, and my kitty is going to be just kind of popped on the outside, but kind of covering up the arm. I might slide the arm underneath and my cat on the outside of the frame. So I'm just, now that I know what colors I used, I'm just going to grab another piece of cardstock, and I'm going to ink that up with some of our ink that matches our colors here. I'm going to just use watercolor since I have a few scraps here. I'll be right back. I'm just going to go cut this out. Okay, sorry about that. I just made a cute little frame. I am going to grab, I think I like using that, put this one back in frame. I think I want to use some darker colors on there. So I'm going to just grab some of our Crafty Kimmy ink. Oh, good. Oh, I hope you get it soon, Michelle. So I'm just grabbing some ink that matches. I'm going to use Berry Bliss. Sponge dabber. Why Amazon has packaged things in plastic on top of plastic on top of plastic, I never get, but is what it is. So I'm going to use some Berry Bliss. And I'm just going to go around this frame. And I'm just dabbing it in. Because this is watercolor paper, it's absorbing the ink nice. And darkly pigmented. You have to add another color in, but need some gold. And this will even itself out as it dries too. But I'm okay if there's a little bit of differences in the color output. Oh, and this dye is from Spellbinders, if you're wondering what it is. I can look at the package after and let you know. The desk is just such a mess that I think if I move anything too much at the moment, it might be a crafty avalanche. But there we go. And it's this quick way to dye some of our paper of our ink. And I'm just going to wipe down this table, and that's where I got to be careful here. There we go. Try not to get too much ink all over my hands. I got resin on my table. We're just doing good. Is that resin? Yeah, probably. Okay. I hope you like the kit when you get it, Michelle. There's lots of good stuff in it. Lots of fun. Alright, so we have our panel. I'm going to grab my Misty quickly and just stamp out my image. And it's looking kind of Valentine's-y, so I do need something to make it less Valentine's-y looking. I mean, it's okay if it looks Valentine's. It can be love related. Okay, be right back. I'm just going to grab another ink. Since Mostly Melon is our ink of the month, I'm going to use that to stamp my kitty. Right. Yeah, they're cute, Michelle. I'll just say that. I'm excited to go play with them, but I just... one thing at a time right now. And surprisingly, as much as I haven't used the stamp, I do have ink on it. So I'm just going to give it a quick clean. I gotta find my cutouts, which are underneath everything. Sorry, Erin, I'm a little bit more chaotic than usual today. Just Rick called me in because apparently the plague is going around yet again. You know, we just went through all this. Hard when you have 14 staff members. Apparently we can't all get sick at the same time. So I said I could come in yesterday and all right, well, I'm going to have to do my live, not pre-recorded because I didn't have time to do it yesterday. So I'm kind of winning it yet again. But that's okay because then I could at least be live and see you guys. And Kim can mention which sets are on sale. So again, Kitty Kapers is on sale this week or this month. And also check out the special section for other sales because we have a lot of good ones going on right now. Quite a few summer sets. And again, with it being Father's Day, you might want to see if there's some sets that you could use for Father's Day coming up. Or even if you don't have time to get it before Father's Day, we have other events coming up too. Okay, so I am just going to quickly stamp out mostly melon here. Just put my sponges and my watercolor back over there. And I am just stamping right onto my grid paper first. If you've ever been to one of my classes, you'll know I like to stamp, make a little mask, and go from there. There's my masks. Just helps me place things pretty evenly instead of cutting it out on my machine. I don't know what it is about the silhouette because I have a silhouette. I am terrified of it cutting into my image after I've done all my beautiful coloring. So I'd rather do this way because unlike the scan and cut, which I know scan and cut can do it too, it's one of those things where I'm just more paranoid. All right. Chose mostly melon because there is a hand reaching out to the kitty. So it'll be a nice, like, help our skin tone. But also, pink tones on animals looks pretty good too. I will zoom in when I go to color it. So I did have a little bit of black still, so this is a little darker than I usually stamp. But that's okay. We make do. I still will try and do a bit of no line coloring. Push that there. Grab a grid of some sort. Got good new grid paper, so you guys don't have to see my gross ones. I'm just gonna cut this. Okay, this is some sticky grid, and I'm using it just to keep my image from flying all over the place. All right, just helps hold down the image so that you guys can see what I'm doing, and on top of that, I can zoom in. So let's see if I can zoom in today. I'll try and keep my marker lids in the view too. Just gotta figure out where I am on my screen. Okay. Nope. Oh, I did it for a second. Zoom out, zoom in. Don't know why that works better. Okay, just waiting for my computer to catch up to me. That looks pretty good. You guys can see what I'm doing. Now, we're using a lot of warm or kind of coolish warm tones. So I'm going to start with her hand. And I'm just going to use the combo I've been using lately for it. You can just use your standard skin combo for her hand. But I have been liking a little different tone. So I'm going to use YR000, E00, E01, E11, E04. I just started using YR00 over E000 just because my E000 is really dried out and needs a nib change. So that's the main reason. And this is very close to the same color. You hardly even can tell that there's a difference. So good, you guys can see that pretty good. So just going in with my light, and I'm just going to color her hand first. I'm just going to do like I do for any skin tone. I'm just going to go over the whole hand. So do you have any other summer plans, Michelle, if you're still there? It's kind of my big one for the summer, and then I'm coming home and doing yard work and cleaning the, actually I need to clean my scrapbook room. I've been saying that all year, but I really do. EO4 needs some help. So I think what I'm going to do when I get back is I have another room that I've been waiting to put stuff that I don't use as often in, but it's got just stuff all over the floor right now, so it's a little bit hard. I am just adding the EO4 in right now, which is my darkest color. Just these bangles will be in front of, or in behind, casting a shadow onto the arm. So I'm just making sure there's a shadow there, and come kind of L-shape. I like L shapes for my shadows. Technically there'd be one here too, and one here. All right. This finger is casting a shadow on the palm, and then this one behind is casting a shadow onto that finger, this finger, and then up here. I like to use a little bit of it over here on the opposite side of where I'm saying my sun is coming kind of this direction. And then maybe just a little bit here. All right. It's hard to explain sometimes what you're doing. I find E11, and I'm just going to extend that out. My E11 is getting pretty dry, so I might have to find a different one than E11 in the future. Let's see if I can blend this out. I use Nina a Solar White for my paper. You know, it's been asked before what one I use. So one Melanie taught a couple of years ago for her retreat, or during one of her retreats, and I fell in love with it because it can add a lot more. I find it adds a lot more layers, but also it tends to just be less shiny. I didn't like how shiny Express it is. All right, that 11 needs some work. Then I am going to go down to EO1. Try and blend this out a little bit better. My E11's not very cooperative at the moment. I'm going to start adding a lot more of this. Solid shadow. I want to try and keep my highlights for my lightest color. This part's bugging me, so I might have to go back in and fix that. And then going back in with my YR00. I know I said I was going to add E00, but I think I will leave it out. I need to add a little bit more shadow in here, I believe. Okay. Right now her hand looks silly to me, so that's okay, because I go back in with a second layer anyway. I'm going to add a lot more shadow in here. And I'm going to make it so that that thumb is really in front of that finger. Add a little bit more down here. A little bit more in the wrist. Side of the hand. I'm actually going to come down here. Maybe just around the thumb. There we go. Okay, and since my E11 is broken at the moment, I'm just going to go straight into EO1. So my shadows are just going to be strong, but that's okay. Once you add other colors, you don't always notice it. I'm sure this is really dark in here, so that hand makes sense. Hands are hard, I will say that. I do struggle with hands sometimes. Alright, and my YR00. Yeah, so I'm excited to go to Calgary just to see, you know, go on my little own adventure and go do whatever I want. Gonna take my own time doing things. I'm in a loft that has a loft that's just kind of silly, kind of artsy loft. I'll try and take photos so you guys can see it. But I am just doing something that I just wanted to do for myself. So since I'm using a lot of pink and dark, like reddish pink, I'm trying to decide what color I want to do my kitty. What I usually do is I have a little notebook that has a whole bunch of color combos in it. And what I'll do is I'll open it up and decide kind of what color I want my kitty. Maybe we'll do orange. Make a little orange kitty. So I go and I look for it through my little album here. Oh, sorry, off screen. That's the other thing I need to do is fix my tripod so that I'm on screen better. All right. I like this light auburn. And I just look at what colors I used for it. So that's why I like having a little book like this. It's just so that I can pull out colors as needed. So E99, E97, E95, E18, and then I think I'll pull in, I don't have it in the list there, but sometimes I like just to pull in one more color. Just maybe like a E23 too. It's kind of an orangish brown, but it's still in the orange family. All right, I'm going to do my kitty next. And I just kind of sit here and I look at my kitty first and see what's going on. So he's got some patches here. She made little patches kind of just to show differences in color. So I might do this in the orange and then I'll do like a cream color for the patches. So I'm going to start with my lightest, which will be the E95. And I'm just going to start by, like I do with the skin, I'm going to make this, again, the light's coming kind of this direction. So his head down here would be the darkest. I'm just kind of figuring out where I want my shadows to go. And here, this would be shadowed. And obviously, there'd be a big shadow over the hand, where the hand's on his face. So we're just going to color all that in. And then, so I make my lightest color, I just kind of make it really thick at the bottom. Kind of demonstrating kind of where my shadows are. And I just realized I'm not on screen very well again. So just push that up. All right. And I always try and think of things in shapes. So being kind of a round ball, there'll still be a little bit of shadowing on the top here. But we're going to make it a little bit darker on the left side than the right side. And I'm just going to come in where this little marking is. But again, my shadowing is here. I'm not even worried about the face. I just leave that until I'm ready to do my details. So then I'm going to jump to my darkest, which is E18. And I am just going to come in and put in my shadows more. And I'm doing little flicks up this time. I'm making this pretty thick at first here. We'll add some texture in after. But I want to make sure that I have some dark to contrast against my bright. If no lines doesn't work for you because you're like, now I can't see my face, you can put your face in with like a marker that won't bleed if you put Copic over top of it. That is an option. I just tend to keep my shadows where they are and my brights where they are so that I can still see the face a little bit. But we're going to just blend up from there. So that was my darkest, which is E18. Now I'm going to go to E23. And I'm just going to blend that up a bit. And just mostly trying to blend my darks together. Again, just adding just a little bit to the top. E23 is kind of muddy compared to the orange colors we're going to be using, but by adding it into my shadows, I'm hoping to get just a smoother blend. Then I'm going to go to E99, and I'm just going to go over everything I just did. So the E99 is technically going to cover over my E23, but it'll just make my shadows pop more. And then again, if you're worried about hitting the face and not being able to see it, you just go around it. I don't really add my texture for my hair until the last little moment, other than these little strokes on occasion. It looks really silly at the moment, but we just continue blending down. So E97. This one's a lot lighter than my E99, and it needs a refill too. But now I'm going to go over the face, that's fine. I am just trying to get kind of a smooth blend at the moment. Hi, Lynn. I'm sorry the time got changed, so if you're like, oh, I didn't see what she's done. It'll be in the replay. It made a background with watercolor, and now I'm just coloring the kitty. I know this looks really silly at the moment, but I promise it'll look better once everything's blended out. And I'm going to go to E95. And I usually start with my lightest going back into the darks. And I'm just kind of pushing the dark color to the outside. And it's quite the contrast between the colors, so I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll come back in and add a second layer and start adding the face details in. I'm going to go down, again, it looks silly, but until we add a second layer. I'm going to go down here into the little legs and the belly with my E95. Just make sure I'm still on screen. And again, avoiding the patches that she had put in. I know once I get the orange kind of colored in, I can decide if I want to do cream versus maybe a different color. This one's more of a cartoony looking cat, so you may want to color it differently than you would a like a tabby or those type of things. Decided that ear needs to be done too. Alright, then going back in with my dark. E18. So my shadows would be kind of where this leg bend is, coming up. The belly would have a little bit of a shadow. This leg would be casting a shadow onto the belly, so the belly should be a lot darker. And again, that's where I just add my darkest color in with my shading. I'm going to add a little bit to there, but I'm not going to come all the way over. You'll see why in a moment. This leg is casting a shadow on this one for sure. So that one needs to be quite dark. His head would be casting quite a shadow onto his neck. So we're just going to add a lot of that there. This collar will be casting a shadow too, so I'm going to add that around the collar on the other side. And then as for his back, I am just going to come over kind of near the bum and add it to the back a little bit, not all the way. And again, I'm just planning out my shadows with this. So, and what's your summer plans this year, Lynn? I am going to go see penguins on, I think, Monday. I'm going to our zoo in Calgary, so I'll make sure to take some penguin photos for you. I do like our penguin exhibit at the Calgary Zoo. It's cute. Just blending out that with my E23. And this is where I go in a little bit more around the leg and kind of making it round here. Then on the back, this leg, adding a little bit up from the bottom of the leg. And I'm just going to add a little bit to that foot and behind. And then I totally forgot to do the ear up here, so we'll just add this here, and then I'll come back in with my darkest after. Okay. Oh, where was your nearest zoo? Toronto Zoo then? I love that zoo. Well, I've never been to that zoo, but watching Zoo Diaries when I was younger, I always wanted to go. Oop, picked the wrong color. I always wanted to go to the Toronto Zoo. It's huge. I know somebody who went to go work there for the summer for her practicum when I was in school. I was so jealous because I wanted to work at the zoo. But in order to work at the zoo, you needed to have like a 4.0 grade point average for NATE, which I did not. Okay, so you have baseball tournaments on and off all summer. Oh. Well, you could be in London. That's cool. I should go say hi to Kim, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like she might be there this weekend, so. Oh, I mean, yeah. I'm basically yeah. It's a lot of walking any zoo, I find. Our zoo here in Edmonton is kind of dinky, although they are working on it, to be fair. They have put in a lot of improvements over the years, but it doesn't take long to go through our zoo. And I will say that, yeah, it's a lot of walking, but I plan to, for my Calgary trip, I'm planning to do 10 to 12K a day. Mostly mural hunting, but, so I do tend to walk a lot anyway. And I'm like, well, one of these days I might as well just go to the zoo, since I was mad, well, not mad that I didn't get to go to the zoo, but just kind of disappointed that I didn't have any time to go to the zoo when I went to Calgary last month. So, was that last month? I don't even know. Time's flying. Last month or the month before that. So I definitely put that on my to-do list this time. I will say that I like at our Edmonton Zoo, we have a good red panda exhibit, and they are my favorite animal. So I'm always wanting to go see our red pandas. But we don't have penguins, and we don't have some of the big cats that Calgary Zoo has. All right. So, like I said, this is looking kind of strange right now, but I'm going to start adding my face in, which will make it look a little better. And I'm going to start adding a little bit of texture strokes here and there. Okay, so I am just coming in and kind of sharpening up my shadows. And then I'm just doing little strokes like this. And I'm not doing every single one. I'm leaving little spaces. And this will help make your cat look a little fuzzy. And I can see where his eyes are from my stamped image, so I'm adding those in with my darkest color. Got to add in those eyebrows that she has. And I just always use my darkest color of whatever I used for my skin or my hair. And we're going to start adding in the faces. I like to pull in the stamp set too. I did make his face look a little different than the design here, so I want to make sure his mouth looks the same, as close as can be. And he has a little chin too. There we go. So his eyebrows are in a little different spot than the artist drew, than Emily drew, but that's okay. But just going to going in, darkening up my shadows, adding those little strokes here and there. And don't be afraid to add strokes into the other color too, like up as well. But by adding the strokes now that I have one layer down, it makes it so that you don't have white gaps in there that you don't want. But it just, I don't know, I find it easier to do it this way than to do it during the first step. So I want to make sure his tabby marks are kept in there. So I'm just going to add that back in. All right. I am going to do a little bit of a blend down again. I think I'll avoid the E23 at the moment because I don't really need that muddiness of the E23. But I'm just going to add some of these strokes in and just kind of in from the center. And just up. And I'm not hitting every line, right? But I'm just making them a little longer than I did my darkest shadows. And up in the ears. And I do like to add a little bit into the actual ear part here too, which will probably be pink. Okay. So that was E99. I don't know if I had my marker laid in the screen, sorry. And then E97. And this one is almost the one I used to blend it out so it's not such sharp, jaggedy bits. I'm just going into my tabby marks, but that's okay. I think I'll make those dark anyway. And I'm just going around, just adding little strokes. It's the ear, putting that out a little bit. Okay. Oh, yeah, I didn't know you liked panda bears too, but yes, panda bears. I don't think our zoo has any. I don't think Calgary does. They used to. But I think the panda bears in Canada tend to rotate quite a bit in the zoos. So right now, I think we don't have any. We have a polar bear. I haven't seen the polar bears yet, so it'll be cool to see. Our sun bear we used to have that is old at the Calgary Zoo is going for retirement. So he'll no longer be there, which is a little sad because I did like him. He was a cute little bear. But I'm glad for him that he's retiring. All right. Okay, so the body, I want to add a little bit of that shading, and then we're going to move on to the next section. Where's my E18 gone? Oh, there it is. And again, just adding little strokes. So a little bit fuzzier. It's kind of a jaggedy looking kitty. That's okay. Maybe he's just a little excited, and so everything's on his hair's all poofed up because he's excited because he saw his owner. Alright. And then E99. Just blend that out again. Add a little bit more around here. Up on the arms. And kind of use my hair to make a little bit of movement in the body too. A little stripe here. Skipping over E97 on the body just because it's so small. But just adding the E95 just to blend it out a little bit. Alright. Now I just got to decide what I want to do for the other parts. Oh, I missed a foot too. So we're going to make this foot orange as well. Just adding my shadows. Doing things a little backwards. So that was E18. Add a little bit E23, just barely. And then, because it's such a small spot, and I'm gonna get us going, I have to be done by no later than 11 my time, so that I can get to work. Let's speed it along a little bit. And then for the ears, I think what I'll do is, I do like a pink. I'm going to do R12. It's got a bit of an orangey pink base to it. So R12 for the ears. And I'll do this ear too. since it's here. Pen lid just dropped, sorry. Do I need any pink anywhere else? Technically his toe beans probably are pink, but they're underneath, so you can't see them anyway. Yeah, it is a cute image. I think I'm going to do his tabby stripes in the E18. And they're just up here. I'm just going to go like this. You can't really see him anyway because I made it so dark. That's okay. He's kind of a, I'm not quite sure what cat he is because he should have some white in him, but that's alright. So, that. I will do some cream colors, so I'm going to choose E50. E51, if it's not too dry. And did I like the other day when I did some cream? And then I think E01. Even though it's a skin color, maybe we could put the YR00 in it. Well, no, that's too close to. Alright, we're going to just choose really light colors. So I'm using E01, E50, and E51. Now it seems weird to use E01, but I'm just using it just to make kind of a slight orangey beige color. And this is my darkest, so I probably should have started with my lightest, but that's okay. And you might wonder why I'm using this color. I want my beige to be a bit on the orangey side, just to continue with my orange theme color here. And when I color in real life, I do tend to jump around like this, so bear with me. And I'm going to use my E51, which is a lot more yellow. And E50, and blend over the whole thing. I'm not sure how I feel about that part, but that's okay. We're going to continue on with it because now I've done it. So I'm going to go into his tail. We're going to say his tail is kind of cream. It kind of looks like he's kind of a patchwork cat. So maybe he's not a real cat. Maybe he's a stuffed animal she's petting. This is kind of what I'm gathering here with is like the way he looks. Which could be cute. He could just be a stuffed animal. He doesn't have to be a cat that's real. That was my E50, just went over everything. Like I said, kind of jumped back and forth a lot with me. E01, I'm just going to add my shadows. And I think what I'll do is I will add some white with some gel pen too. That may help. Just make it look a little bit more like cream and not so much like skin. Just what I'm worried it looks like right now. I like this color combo, and it would have been cute as like a base color. But considering my dark is so dark, I'm not sure if it's reading the way I want it to read. I'm going to E51, and I might have to add some strokes of a different color, like a little bit of a darker color too. Because you're not going to see my texture as much because it's so light. And I want to make sure that it looks like fluff and not skin. Okay, he's turning out cuter than I thought he would. So I think once I add a little bit of a darker color for my hair, it'll look better. Okay, now I'm going to decide what I want to use. I think I will jump to, I typically use E11, but because my E11 is dry, I could use, I'd bring in E13 as well. Okay. I'm just going to add little strokes. Because I don't really care. There, that's already looking better to me. Sorry, my lid fell down, but it is E13. Cast shadow in. This little butt looks fuzzy. So the rest of them is pretty fuzzy. Just adding a little bit of strokes. There we go. He is looking so fluffy. He is looking more like a cat now, not so much a toy. I'm not happy with my tabby stripes. So what I am going to do is I'm going to extend them out a little bit with my E97. And I'm just going to come around here and add a little bit more down here. And we're just going to make it a shadow and not so much a tabby stripe now. Over blended. That's okay. That's where I'm just going to make his face a little bit more fuzzy to counteract it. That was my 99 and my, oops, keep putting my lid backwards. E97. I'm getting a little sticky too, just so. It is time for me to do some marker maintenance for sure. And my E95. Trying to be careful not to smear my E18 that I have down, but because it's fully dry, shouldn't move too much. Back up in the ear here. All right. Yes. I was going to make him a black velvet because that is my favorite color. And at work, me and 3 girls have a black velvet kitty club, basically. We go all the black velvies that come in. I am more of a tuxedo black kitty. But him being an orange kitty, I do like them too. We had a orange male in the other day for a neuter, and man, was he cute. Trouble. I can tell he's trouble, but he's cute. He was very cute. So I'm gonna take some of the pinkish red, purplish red that I made for my background, and his collar is gonna be this color. So I'm just adding it on. Okay. And I figure her shirt will be the same color as his collar. I don't know how much of the shirt you'll see once I put him in my frame, but it's okay. So that was R56. Oh, good, I did have the lid in there. And then I'm going to go to R39. Oh, my R39. Okay, it's just going to be one moment. I'm just going to wipe down the ink that's on the side of my pen. It had a little explosion by the look of it. Oh, it's dry. Okay, well, like I said, another thing to add to the to-do list is marker maintenance, which is not my favorite thing in the world to do, but sometimes it's required. So when you're using a lot of color on your projects. All right, and this is kind of where my shadowing is. So just adding that to both ends of the collar. And then I'm going to add in R37, and I'm sliding down my frame again. So I push that back up. I'll just add a little brightness to my R56. And then go back in with my R56. Blend up in her arm, collar. I'm trying to decide what to make his little name tag here. Maybe we'll do a light pink since I did use a light pink for the background. I'm just trying to think, what do I want to use? 83. And yes, I do use a lot of colors, probably a lot more than most people, but I do think it's worth it in the end. I'm going to make her bangles this color too. And I might actually just add a bit of R39 to my R83 here. Just give it a little bit of shading, but match it to the same tone still. So coming around here and up, side of the bangle, side of the bangle, and side of this bangle. And then I'm going to add just a little bit to the left side or the right side of the tag, which is kind of the opposite direction of what my light source, but that's okay. No one but me will care. And then I'm just going to blend that back out with the R83 again. Back and forth to make the blend a little smooth. Okay. Now lately I have been adding blush to my character's faces. He's got a lot of darkness for it, so I do have to use... Just trying to decide what color I want to use for my blush. I'm going to use R22. And I am just going to give him a little bit of blush. I know he's a cat and he doesn't blush, but that's okay. I'm just making it a little bit more cartoony by adding the blush. Okay. And then I am going to blend that out with my E95. Up and out. Okay. Can't really even tell because it's so dark. All right. And then we just add white highlight to things to make things look a little bit fun. So I'm taking a jelly roller and just adding some white highlight into those bangles. I'm going to add it just a little bit into the corner here. If you don't like something, you can always change it too, right? So I play around with it a little bit. See, I'm not sure I like that. So quickly, before it dries, just going to do that. And I'm going to go back over his nose and add some white dots into his face, because I don't know, I just always do. And just like little white strokes up in the beige part. Just add a little bit of texture. Some in his tail. Let's make him look fluffier, even. A very fluffy kitty. And then on his collar, I'm going to add a little bit there. Maybe a little shot, a little highlight there. Still don't like the nose, so come in quickly before it dries. And I do, because I'm using a wet wipe, which is not what I usually use something dry. I am getting a little bit of texture here. So then I grab a sand eraser. And I just buff it out a little bit. Try not to smear the white that I have down. I don't like his nose, so I am going to fix it by making it a little bit more rounder. There. It also needs whiskers. That's what's missing. So let's draw some whiskers in. There. Bit of white here. Alright, and I call him colored. I do want her to do her nails too. I just noticed that her nails need to be colored in, so I'm just going to do them the same color as her shirt. Alright. So there's my little kitty. Maybe do things differently, but he is fluffy, so that's a big thing. I didn't do his hair here, so I'm going to grab my E18 and just add in that little hair, even though you could leave it because it is dark enough. But I just will add it in, and I'm just using a Copic just to make a little bit of a fine line there, just so it doesn't look like I didn't color it. Alright, thank you, Lynn. I appreciate it. Okay, what time is it? 10:42? Okay, good. I have a few more minutes. We gotta get our card made. Alright, that's what happens when you don't look at the time. So my plan is kind of like her arm is going to be under the frame, but the kitty's going to be on top of the frame. I do need to put a sentiment, and I think I'm just going to stamp right onto the panel. I'm going for a little bit of a monotone look today. Oh, I'm off screen. Sorry. I haven't done anything other than place. I'll zoom back out so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Sorry, make you guys all seasick. Alright, so that's how we got so far. Cute panel. I am just going to grab my Misty, and I'm just going to stamp right onto the panel. Everything's everywhere at the moment. And normally I'll just stamp inside the Misty, but I'm going to stamp on the outside today just to get this going. So I have Stay Positive, Kittens are Angels with Whiskers, Dogs Have Owners, Cats Have Staff. That's probably more what my coworkers would like, or Thank You. What would you guys like me to do? Here, I'll put it in the frame a little better with a piece of paper behind it so you can see the sentiments. I need a vote quickly. Sorry, am I on screen? Okay. What sentiment should I use? I like your catitude, but it looks like I've already stamped that one before. I mean, dogs have owners, cats have staff is probably something that my coworkers would say. Life is hard, then you nap is cute, but that's more for like the cat in the tree, so I'll use that one for the cat in the tree. Anybody there? If not, I'll just decide in a second here. Stay positive? Perfect. That can always work for anybody. So, thank you, Kim. I appreciate it. And I don't have time right this second, but I think what I'll do is, I'm sure we have little paw prints in one of our stamp sets. I will add a little bit of paw prints up there too, just as like a little decorative thing. So I could stamp in mostly melon, but I don't think it's going to show up. I could do creamy caramel, which would match my cats, or I can just go tone on tone by using the Berry Bliss. So I think, I'm just trying to decide what I want to use. I do like the fact that if I'm adding more orange into my scene, just so that it's not just like orange cat with nothing orange around it. Yeah, even though I like Berry Bliss, it's one of my favorite colors, I think I'll do that. Thanks, Kim. So just taking creamy caramel, you'll just stamp it in the corner. Stay positive. And I'm just going to use my back of my Missy kind of like a cushion. And I'm just rocking the stamp back and forth a little bit. There we go. I'll probably use, like I said, when I have a moment, I'll just stamp some little paws on there. But he's pretty much done. I'm just going to grab a base. Which I have a cardstock that matches my Berry Bliss perfectly. So let's grab that. But the other thing I do is if I don't have a color that quite matches, I will grab just a cardstock close in color and add ink and match it up that way. All right. Just, oh boy, just stuff everywhere. I'm just going to make a quick A4 base. So that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And again, as a reminder, the stamp set is on sale this month. So if you're like, oh, I have a lot of cat lovers in my life, you may want to snatch the stamp set up before it goes away. So I'm assuming once it's gone, it's gone. Oh, did not cut that properly. Or did not, did something wrong there. Okay, sorry, I'm off screen, but I'm just scoring it at 5 1/2. Did I go the wrong direction? This happens when you're rushing. Okay, I'll keep those pieces for matte layers. And 5 1/2, you want this way. I don't know what I did. Alright, just going to 4 1/4. No, 4 1/2. 4 1/4, yes. What I did. And then 5 1/2. There we go, that's better. Okay, so just looking at it, it's not quite the same color. So what I can quickly do, like, it's not bad, but it's not a perfect match. I thought it would be, but it's not 100% perfect. I'm just going to quickly ink do what I said I was going to do if it didn't match. I'm going to just grab our Berry Bliss, grab my dauber, and just start adding ink to the outside edge. Just quickly. And that way it will match. And I'm not making it look pretty because it doesn't need to be. It just needs to have an edge that you see the color. Takes a lot less time if you match the color up almost perfectly here. All right. Quickly just wipe my desk down. Okay, now it's perfect. You wouldn't even know. All right, going to quickly glue these down. And then I'm going to call it. So I do have to get going. Good thing I started half an hour early. I would have been done. Okay, add my frame. Not to the outside, jeez. I'm just making everything flat today. Except that I want to lift this corner up so that I can tuck her arm in a little bit. So she just looks like she's offering. All right, and one last thing is I always have to add a little bit of bling, and I just realized I'm off camera again. Okay, and I have tons of orange because I tend to use a lot of it for somebody who doesn't really like orange. But I call this kind of like a coppery orange. And then my tool, just going to add little dots here, 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 and maybe just 2 over here. Okay. And I always just try to grab an assortment of sizes. So do big one here, medium one here, that small one up here, and then I tried to do, just try not to overthink it. I think that's the biggest thing. When I overthink, that's when I mess it up. It doesn't look very authentic. Do you want one more? Maybe here. I always land backwards on my table. Give me one that's not backwards. There we go. There. All right. So I'm just going to do a quick zoom in of my project for YouTube. Going to put some paper behind it. So I do that. I know, I'll use the watercolor table. And this is when you get ink on the back of things. Go, why is there weird things? Okay. Just pull this in. I'm going to pull in something just to prop it up. Tape, why not? Don't really want this green, so we're going to do this. There we go. Like this. Clean the back of that. All right, let's do a quick zoom in and then we're good. I'm calling that done. Thanks everyone for joining me. Just going to zoom out and zoom in. Nope. All right, thanks everyone.